Hey everyone, welcome to Into the Ethereum's Verse podcast, episode number 2. We're here Friday, April 7th with JPN. How's it going, JPN?
What's up? How's it going?
Good. And I'm Gyp, your host, and this is hosted by the Ethereum's marketing agency. And we want to give everyone a quick shout out and thank you for supporting our efforts here as we try to educate and expand upon the world of the NONnation. So how's your week been?
It's been a long week, but it's been a good week. We've had a lot of moving parts, a lot of things happening.
Yeah,
we've got quite the list of topics here today.
That's right. I want to start off and let you know how jealous I am. I see that beautiful NONnation flag behind you.
Isn't it gorgeous?
Oh my God, it's amazing. I can't wait to get it. I know you got me one from ETH Dubai and about to ship it across the country for me, which I'm very thankful for. I can't wait to get that and get it set up and into my permanent podcast space. So that's quite exciting. Yeah, that's a gem right there. I love it.
You got the flag. You got some shirts, stickers, keychains.
Nice.
We got all sorts of swag coming your way.
Nice. Can't wait. Hopefully some users get their hands on some swag in the near future as well. Hopefully we make that available. So got to be representing the NONnation, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So here we are, Friday, April 7th. It has been quite a week. There has been, as usual, right? We can't make it through a week without, the drama of the week and in this, burgeoning space and industry, but that's okay. It keeps us entertained, gives us stuff to talk about.
Monday was a month ago, right? Monday was a month ago at this point.
Yeah, I can't remember what the conversion time is for, crypto time and crypto Twitter, especially for real world time. But yeah, feels like I've been in the space for a lifetime. 6 years translates into a lifetime, apparently.
And even recently, like with AI Twitter encroaching on crypto Twitter, it's like
right.
Enough happens in any given day that it's like it stretches out for a week. And
yeah,
it was like GPT-4 was less than a month ago, and already it's like it's here.
Right.
And if you're not using it, you're behind. So it's like,
and it's so wild. I mean, less than a month ago, 3 weeks ago, I signed up for my subscription because I was using it so frequently, and now it has unimaginably altered my workflow and just my creative process and how should I go about creating content and doing these kind of things. It's changed so quickly, and I can only imagine the effect that it's going to have on the world at large. It's quite incredible. Props to OpenAI for sure.
Did you see they had shut down signups here this week?
I did not, but I'm really glad I got mine before they shut it down.
Too many people are upgrading to use GPT-4. They had to shut down the upgrade process for a little while they scale. So it's like,
wow,
it's taking off faster than they even could have imagined, and it's crazy. But like, it's the world now. It's part of it.
It is. I wonder what that adoption curve is going to look like, when in a few years here, when we see it on a graph, on a scale, it's just going to be exponential. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Speaking of adoption curves, for for new technologies, how about we jump into our first topic here today?
Let's do it.
Did you see the what happened with Arbitrum's first vote here just earlier this week?
Right. I did see it. I would, God, how do I put this? I would hate to say that it was a surprise, but I've seen these kind of shenanigans happen so many times, but with a big name like Arbitrum, right? Like you think that no, this isn't going to happen. Like there's no way they would cause all this drama, right with their rollout and their momentum and things like that. And man, I have to say they managed shoot themselves in the foot so hard, in my opinion, from an optics perspective, right? From an optics perspective, you know, of course, you know, we all understand that, you know, sometimes in the beginning of, you know, protocols, lives, things like that, you know, decentralization is not where it you know, they would like it to be, and, you know, the end result during, you know, development and things like that, it's not in its end state, right?
Right.
But man, to have that happen.
Number one.
This was number one. This was number one. In the way that they executed it, and then to go back and to try and, you know, reframe what happened, and to talk about, you know, it was just a request. What was the specific language they used? Do you remember?
They were saying they were just going to ratify it. So just to catch up, everyone, if you haven't heard about what happened, just the 30-second overview is Arbitrum airdropped the tokens to people who were like using the platform. It was a huge airdrop, biggest one in the space in a while. Since like Optimism airdrop.
It was huge.
So everyone got these brand new shiny governance tokens. They launched a big plan about how they were going to be truly a decentralized thing, as they were going to move from, you know, a centralized sequencer and start to give the community governance over their protocol.
Right.
Well, they launched Arbitrum Improvement Proposal 1, AIP 1, and there was a lot of stuff in the text, but one specific part was they were giving, I think, 50 million tokens to the Arbitrum Foundation to go ahead and help with like startup costs. And there was like 750 million additional tokens going somewhere else or something. But the 50 million was where there was some controversy, because as they were voting on the proposal, it was initially passing. And then some on-chain sleuths discovered that, well, those tokens that they were voting on had already been given out. And the place where they were given were sending them to an exchange, supposedly to dump them, to get some of these startup costs. So as the proposal was being voted on, the tokens that were being voted on were getting dumped on an exchange at the same time. So it's like,
and the whole community took issue with that, and that vote swung quickly, and it was it failed. It failed. But I mean, how quickly it swung in the other direction. And I guess this is as good a time as any to plug the tweet that tweet thread that you wrote about it. I'm going to go ahead and plug it in here in the chat. I'm not sure if this will show up for folks or not, but that was a great and very informative tweet thread that you wrote on the topic. And it's just kind of flabbergasting. You know, I mean, my God, could you imagine, you know, the PR guy for Arbitrum, you know, and how difficult they made their lives this week? I'm sure there's no actual PR guy, but still, I mean, that's the wrong kind of attention that you want to be attracting, especially, you know, in this space and at this stage of their lives.
They ended up having to really like backstep their language and say, oh, this was a ratification vote. It had no meaning. And it's like, you just admitted your thing has no meaning now. It's like,
what does your governance token actually do? Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And it's like the real decentralization tools. If you make it so that, you know, the transfer of those funds was dependent on the vote, this would never have happened. You would have actually been decentralized. It's like, okay, we don't send the tokens unless this happens. Now, you were alluding to this earlier, but it's like they're early in their life cycle here. If they want to be somewhat centralized right now, that's not the worst thing. Places, you have to start out somewhere. You start out from some sort of centralized team controls a bunch of things. And all they had to do was say, okay, we're centralized. This is what we're doing. And just tell everyone, we did this to start. Let them all know. Don't. The worst
thing. It's not our
like,
system design, but we understand. I mean, we've seen it, you know, things like that. But the way they went about it.
It's the theater. It's the theater of saying, hey, we're this decentralized protocol. Your vote matters. And it didn't matter. So it's like, it would have been fine if they said, we're centralized. This is how we're setting things up. This is not a voting matter. It might have rubbed some people the wrong way, but it's justifiable then. You say, it's our team. We made the decision. This is how we chose to set it up.
Right.
We're transferring ownership. We're becoming decentralized. We're moving that direction, but we acknowledge we're not now. But to say, hey, we're decentralized and put it up for a vote that doesn't matter is just, it's that sort of theater that gives all DeFi and all
terrible precedent for participation in the governance of the protocol, and really robs them of credibility. I heard some people talking about, of course, they have a 12-member multi-sig for their foundation, for their controlling foundation, and somebody was challenging them on Twitter.
A 9 of 12 multi-sig can overrule the DAO, which, again, if you say we're centralized and we can pull the rug, just make it clear. They made it clear, so it's not how I would do it. It's not truly decentralized then, but at least everyone has the information of there is this multi-sig that can overrule everyone. Right. As long as that's what you're getting into. It's
exactly. This is what it's really about. It's, participants want what you see is what you get. They don't want decentralization theater of, hey, we're decentralized and we're decentralized in name only. No. And, this is exactly the pain points that, NONnation was created to solve, right? And in the governance stack. And so, I totally agree with you. If you're upfront about it and you say this is the state of things right now, and unfortunately, this is where we want to go, but this is where we are right now. This is how things operate. Well, then, hey, that's something different. But to say you're decentralized, that's a problem. And so to get back to, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we have the tools already in with the NONnation stack to be you can put something to a vote and have a token transfer be contingent on the outcome of that vote. You can do exactly the thing that would have protected them and saved them here. That would have saved face. Exactly. If you say that the vote matters and it actually matters, well, that's a good point. But if you say the vote matters and then you have to walk that back and it didn't matter, that's just the worst.
Somebody said on Twitter that the way they handled this situation and the transferring and the selling of the tokens before or during the process or before the vote took place was an open and closed textbook evidence case that it's in fact a security, the way that they handled that. I don't know if that's the case or not. I don't know. I would love to find the tweet. And then also there were a number of people, saying, prove to us that the wallets are in fact actually individual wallets of 12 people and not under several wallets per team member, things like that. So,
at some point, that's like proof of personhood, proof of identity. That's a big narrative right now, trying to say that this wallet is me or this personality, and
it is
that farther to do that. Yep. And speaking of which, this sort of leads us into the next topic just a little bit. Is the U.S. Treasury Department came out this week with a big report, and it said a lot of things about DeFi. Noted that most criminals aren't using DeFi; they're using fiat to crime. But the other thing that they sort of gave some recommendations on ways that the DeFi space could change to become more compliant, but compliant with like existing architecture and existing rules is through KYC.
Yeah, and primarily KYC and AML tools, right?
Yeah,
is what they said in the report.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on having whether it's like full KYC chains, KYC exchanges, KYC AML, ABCD, spaces where you have to register, you have to give someone your real life credentials to trade there. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, to me, when I hear KYC, when I hear AML, obviously understanding the intention of the laws behind KYC and AML and, anti-money laundering and things like that. But when I hear that, I hear gatekeeping and gatekeeping for participation. And as we know, gatekeeping for participation is a slippery slope, right? And it's the same concern that, people have with CBDCs and things like that, right? When CBDCs are, introduced, right, are they going to gatekeep, various things of, how much fossil fuels you're using, or how much, red meat or something like this, like, and I know that those are some out
Yeah.
there concerns. I get it. But what I'm saying is that if there is a mechanism in order to enforce that type of control, inevitably there will be the temptation to use it, and it will be used and applied in circumstances where, maybe it shouldn't be. And so I don't think that it's in the spirit of crypto. I don't think it's in the spirit of DeFi. And so for me personally, I don't like to see it, but I do see both sides of the argument. Being a participant in the United States and trying to participate in crypto and in DeFi according to the murky, and the unclear regulations that they give us. But yeah, I don't love it on first take. How about you?
No, it's totally against the ethos of what DeFi sort of stands for. However, and I'll spin it around a little bit. I think it's going to enable industry scale participation in the space through these, because I'm sure there's Microsoft's not out there buying Bitcoin on Uniswap or Wrap Bitcoin, or they're not out doing that, partly because the regulatory grounds on it are really sort of sketchy. That big partners, big firms and stuff, they're not investing on it just because they see it as more risk than reward.
Right. That
changes a little bit if you have, and as far as I can tell, Coinbase's, it's not going to be a KYC exchange, but imagine someday they come out with a layer 2 that in order to bridge, you have to be on a whitelist to KYC onto an entire like chain or a sub-chain. That's or
interesting. I read specifically this week that it was going to be. That just goes to show you, this wild conjecture on Twitter, on crypto Twitter, and
I don't think Base is going to be.
I hope it's not.
I don't think Base is going to be KYC. However, I think if you're going from like Coinbase's exchange to it, you're going to be KYC through there, so they're going to be able to track a lot of the money in the space. It's going to be sort of a gray, murky area. But I see someday that Visa or Chase, some giant has their own layer 2 exchange that everyone's KYC'd on, and you can trade on there, and that's going to be your, hey, if you want to trade in the space, you're going to have to do that. It'll come to that point. There'll be a while there where things are going to live in harmony, where you're going to have the, I don't want to call it black, but like the current state of DeFi, where anonymous DeFi, let's go with that.
I would like to see a way where the usage, if we're going to have KYC and AML DeFi platforms, that the usage is incentivized to be able to use that. And what I mean by that is that, yes, I have to KYC and AML, but that's my choice. I'm not being forced, and I'm doing it because there's economic incentive to participate in that chain or in that system. But to blanket say, everybody has to KYC AML, wallets have to be tied to individuals, tracked with social security numbers, things like that. I'm hugely against that. I mean, we've seen so many examples of, that kind of power to just be, abused and things like that. So I think it's not in keeping with the spirit of DeFi, things like that. And I hope that is not what is coming down the regulatory pipeline for us. I mean, Operation, as Nick Carter, who, is a big Bitcoiner. I don't follow or subscribe to every one of his takes, but as he said this morning, Operation Choke Point 2.0 is far from over. And in fact, they have the last remaining onboard ramps for crypto banks, in their sites right now. And there was a couple of them. I know that Evolve and River Valley, another bank out of Wyoming, I think, but they're coming. You know what I mean? Yeah. So something that and not to segue too much, but something that I appreciate about non-labs in the non-nation is that it is an unstoppable platform, and these tools are built to be unstoppable.
Yeah.
And I think that when you look at some of the foundations of protocols in our space, I don't think that there is a stronger foundation in order, to be able to participate and be assured that your participation is not going to be, stymied or blocked in such a way, because the regulatory landscape these days is shifting like the wind. You know what I mean? Every couple of days, we hear something else, and purposefully not providing clarity in order to cause fear mongering and things like that, and to disincentivize participation. So,
yeah, I mean, it could be that, this choke point 2.0 leads into, okay, new ramps can open up, but they open up under KYC exclusively. You have to, it could be something like that, where you choke everything that's currently existing out to rebuild, from a tighter regulatory space. And maybe that's good for some things, but it's also gonna scare away, people who are just looking to like invest small amounts into adoption. If I can YOLO $50 into, Ethereum or something when it's $200, however many years ago that was, that was great.
Yeah.
But if you put, very stringent KYC on everything and you really lock that down, well, suddenly your average investor can't do it, and it's going to be only the institutions, and it becomes Wall Street 2.0 or whatever, where you have to have a license or go through a licensed broker or something to be able to access that. And the point of DeFi was always that everyone got access to the financial tools to actually make these sort of trades. And now we'd be sticking another middleman right back into the process, just happening. Like CeFi, right? And exactly, right? And all of a sudden, now the DeFi remittance people are going to be, charging the same price, and worldwide remittances will be just as expensive as they are on CeFi, right? Things like that. No,
you just can't win. We solved it on a technical level, and now it's like on a political level, and trying to wrest that power from the forces that be, right?
I hope that's not where we go, because it's like, and I don't need to compare us to Tornado Cash, but the thing with Tornado Cash is that got sanctioned. Everyone who like interacted with got sanctioned. The smart contract still works. It never stopped working. It's still there. They couldn't shut that down, and Coinbase, I think, is even helping with a lawsuit to kind of fight back against that right now. So there are actors in the space, and Coinbase is a big one who's fighting to try to like keep decentralization and keep common sense regulations, but knock out these crazy overreaches that have been happening here. So
shout out to Coinbase's efforts in the space right now. And I haven't always viewed them or spoke about Coinbase in the most favorable light over the last couple of years, but I'm hugely behind what they're doing right now in the battle that they're fighting on behalf of all of us participants.
Everything I've seen from them is they're trying to be compliant, and when they can't be compliant, it's because the government's not giving them, any sort of guidance, and they're trying to fight. And I'm for that fight. Did you sign up to be one of their advocates?
I did.
Same. Yeah. No, it's like I want to be on that list. I want to try to fight
publicly too. It said, "Hey, do you want to hide your information?" I said, "Nope. I want to be public."
Let it be out there. Yeah. It's like exactly. We want to fight for the good stuff in the space, and for common sense regulations, and for clear regulations. And
and it's interesting, because I think that this coming election season, right? This is where, and I've seen, Ryan Selke and a couple of folks, right? Like, hey, like these lawmakers don't understand just how many people, right, participate in crypto and believe in the crypto ethos and things like that. And we're going to be a force to be reckoned with as a voting bloc, and, as being able to represent and lobby for our interests. And I think that is going to shift the tone and the tenor of what they're trying to do to our industry. I just hope that, we can make it through this without some kind of, just terrible, blanket, blah, blah, blah. It's going to ruin innovation for the industry in our country,
Yeah, I'm hoping not. I'm hoping we can get past that. I mean, did you see, I think it was Elizabeth Warren had an anti-crypto message in her re-election campaign here. So it's like, this is going to be an issue. And, we're always told, vote with your wallets, but this is going to be literally a vote for your crypto wallet.
Yeah. And I have to say, after all of this and participating for 6 years, I mean, I think that cryptocurrency is so good for the world that I've become a single issue voter, even though I have vast disagreements with, maybe some candidate who would, be on, crypto side and maybe be pushing something else. But I am a single issue voter these days. And I do have to say, right, this is the part where they try to kill it, because we're so big now that they're using it as as a political campaign advertisement, right?
Yeah.
That's, what I mean? They can't ignore us anymore. That's how big we are. Is they're saying she's running on that fact, right? I'm anti-crypto, right? I think she's in for a rude awakening, but we'll see.
I hope so. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how this shakes out. We're going to be here one way or another, regardless.
Exactly.
Week in, week out. We'll give you the updates that you're craving here.
Exactly. We're going to be here. We're going to be talking about it. And, last thing to say, right?
Yeah.
The non-nation, the sovereign nation, right? The unstoppable sovereign nation ensures participation for every Ethereum user, regardless of location, and it's unstoppable. So, that's the true ethos of DeFi and crypto. Right. So I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, we've seen the advantages of crypto with some of these things. It's cheaper to send money overseas to family and relatives. It's cheaper and more direct to give money to charities. There's real tangible benefits to doing stuff.
Right. Yeah. How can programmable money ever be a bad idea? Right.
Yeah.
And how much heartache and things like this is caused by fiat and central banks issuing and printing unlimited amounts of currency to finance wars and all of the different things across the world. So we don't have to get into that, but I would say, and I know everybody has their own reason for participating in crypto, but crypto is a force for good in the world, and I will support it at all costs. So,
we'll be here, and we'll continue fighting for it here. But anyways, let's move on and talk a little bit of NONnation. The last time we talked,
exciting times.
Now it's NONnation.
Yeah, that's right. We're the NONnation. I will always have a special place in my heart for Ethereum's OS. And the beta and the previous branding, but the NONnation is here. The rebrand is upon us. It is almost complete. In fact, I think we got the first portions of the rebrand. I believe the Twitter and the Discord server and a couple of things were rebranded today. And I know that there's some stuff scheduled for Monday and Wednesday as well.
Early next week, we're gonna see more of that roll out, and there's an article that's gonna accompany that. That's gonna talk a little bit about why we chose to rebrand. Talking a little bit about why some of the names were chosen. So we'll have some more details on those things. But everything was sort of spoiled in Bilderberg Part 1.
Yeah.
Right here,
Boom.
Got the shirt on.
I do have to say, when we were planning this delegation 2 months ago, we chose the wrong time to pick a name. So for all the people who are watching this podcast after, you pop into the Discord and let us know. We're Ethereum's marketing agency, and we'll always be Ethereans. But should we rename the delegation? Should we rename the delegation to reflect the move to the NONnation? So, originally we had named this podcast Into the Ethereans Verse, right? And that's currently the name. And thought, does that really reflect? Maybe we should move it to like voice of the non-nation or something like that, right? Because every
Ooh,
week we want to
like
be
the
here,
sound of
giving
that.
you, being the voice and being the ones to shout it from the rooftops. What's going on in the nation and who's joining the nation and who's building and things like that, and all the exciting things that are coming up. So we'll have to think about that. So if you have an opinion on that, jump into the Discord and let us know, or leave a comment on the YouTube video here.
Yeah. So NONnation was officially launched at ETH Dubai. That was the big grand reveal. Some people had, inklings that was coming. We were using some language talking about sovereignty with smart contracts. But that was our grand reveal. We had so many of the team members there at ETH Dubai. I got to meet like the art team. I got to meet Davey and Ale and Vasa, and it was a wonderful experience getting to talk to people.
That's
first
awesome.
day I was there,
Super jealous.
I ran into someone who was there from ENS, and she had like the ENS hat on. I was very jealous. I wanted one of those.
Nice. That's awesome.
But she was like, "Oh, your guys' name tags. It's like you guys are you have your ENS name on them," and she's like, "That's really cool." I'm like, "Yeah, there are digital identities there." It's like. All the non-nation people, we all had our ENS names on them, and it was nice. It was kind of surprising that like so few of the other people there had ENS names on their tags. It's like, we're still early on some of these things.
I mean, there were so many people with their ENS at ETH Denver. So many people with their ENS.
Maybe it was an ETH Dubai thing. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but I hope that it becomes a trend over there, because I bought a few Arabic ENS digit names, because I heard it's popular to put on the license plate. So ENS Bull Run 2.0, let's go.
We're due for it, But yeah,
it's a lot. It's been a tough winter, and here we are, April 7th today. Good Friday for those that celebrate, and here we are blossoming into the spring and into Q2, and very, very exciting times for the nation. So
and we'll get into more of the details on like the rebranding and what it all means. There's going to be technical articles coming out from the team. We are here to hype up everything that is coming out there that you know about. And I guess I'll spring this on you here, but what's the thing you're most excited from that you heard about at Bilderberg? What was the thing that stood out to you more than anything?
Oh man, originally it was entities. I was always a big governance guy, DFO hub, OG. I just blew my mind. But I gotta say, Bazaar. I am so excited for the Grand Bazaar. I think that it is primed to disrupt. I think it is powerful. I love the art style. I love the on-chain orders, things like that. I think it's gonna quickly establish itself and get traction and gain a large user base, and that's exactly what we want to see for for our stack and for these tools. Is that it's really a problem of awareness, which that's why EMA exists, our delegation. We're going to be turning that on in full force. But as people come in and they use the tools and they see the power of the tools, it's like, man, what else is in the stack? Like, this is incredibly powerful, right? And so to see how Bazaar and in the DeFi integration, the asset integration, things like that, I'm incredibly excited for Grand Bazaar. I'm a simp for Bazaar. Let's put it that way.
No, but Bazaar is the thing that I think I'm looking forward to the most, because it's literally trying to challenge Uniswap, OpenSea, Blur, all the marketplaces, and like centralized exchange order books all at once. Like, we're targeting 3 huge markets with this, and if this pays off, it's going to be absolutely massive. I think the tech is there, the features are there. We're gonna need some value. We're gonna need value locked up in there. But I think the Bazaar could be like the best DEX anywhere that will actually help people like on board who are currently like using people who have basically have to use exchanges because that's where that's how they can do orders.
Right.
Nicely.
Right. Exactly.
You can do like versions of them with Uniswap v3, but they're a little finicky, and they can be unfilled if price rolls back. This is pure and simple and actual on-chain orders in a way that rivals CEXs. So
three things. Everywhere you look, non-labs is solving pain points, man. I mean, they just get in there and just solve pain points that are really difficult pain points to solve, right? And that's what I love about our company and the company is that we go after some really big problems. So shout out to Ale and Vaza. These systems are incredible. Number two, I think the art and the video and the details surrounding Bazaar is going to make it so fun, right? It's going to make it so fun to be able to turn on the marketing for Bazaar and to push advertising and things like that. And I can say, I can speak for us, like we're going to be doing a lot with Bazaar and pushing it very, very hard. And number three, I need to go see if bazaarsimp.eth is available because I'm going to run with that ENS if it is, because I am a simp for Bazaar. I'm tempted to go look right now while we're recording.
I mean, once it's out, I'm gonna use it. It's a product that I genuinely want to use, that I see a need for. It's like a tool that
Absolutely.
I want to have access to as a user, even someone who would early DeFi. My first things I was doing was Uniswap v2.
Right.
That's where I was trading, and this just feels like the nice evolution of it that has all the features that I want as like a more power user, and it's great. I love it.
And Dex is targeted towards to DAOs and people who want DeFi and governance for the NFTs, things like this. What I love about Bazaar is its TAM, its total addressable market, is every single Ethereum user. Everybody can find something in Bazaar that they can use and they can find value in, and I think that's just incredible. I think it's gonna hit really hard, and I think it's gonna be really appreciated by the space. So I'm excited.
It's gonna be a great place to trade for not only ERC20 communities but NFT communities.
Right.
It was talked about a little bit in the video, but like you're gonna be able to wrap the NFTs into Dex. It's gonna be automatic. To provide liquidity, and then because LPs are farmers, you're going to be farming fractions of those decks over the long term that'll be available for a future farming season. So it's like you drop an NFT using the Bazaar, you're gonna get that huge wave initially. All NFT projects do. There's a lot of trades that go on immediately after launch,
right?
Because you're farming, you're building up a reservoir for the next season. Which means in a couple of months, when that season begins, weeks or months, suddenly there's a reason to go through and provide liquidity again. There's a reason to go through and buy, and it's going to help.
Exactly.
It's going to help let these projects that they're going to be able to capitalize.
They're not going to flame out like immediately, like they typically do. You know what I mean?
A lot of these, there's a huge initial burst of activity, and then it dies off to almost zero.
Right.
Here. If you're using the Bazaar tech, well, suddenly there needs to be at least another bump of hype in the future, and then people can speculate on that bump of hype, and it helps build on it. You no longer have 1 day dump over NFT project, sign, seal, deliver, and there's more to NFTs than that, but that's how the market works for them.
Right, it's going to make the market more efficient ultimately. It's going to make the market more efficient, and that's what we see, right? That's what we see. With so many things, so many tools that take off in the space, is that when you make the market more efficient, users will come because they are looking for efficiency in the markets. And not to mention, how about creators in respecting creator royalties, right?
Yeah.
And having it built in, right? What's that going to do to the creator community? And what kind of reputation is that going to give NONnation for the creator community, right? I mean, creators are going to flock. They want their royalties respected and their hard-earned efforts to be respected. And so I love that that's been built in as well.
Yep, and we're doing that, and It's going to be a great platform. I mean, we're talking about it. I can't wait to use it and to be able to trade on it. It's something I, as an end user, want to be able to use. That's part of why I'm so excited for it. The other tools.
How about those UI screenshots?
Oh, we can't talk about those.
We won't talk about that yet, but woo, love it.
We've seen them. We can't wait for everyone to be able to see them here. And that wraps up what we have for today. Any parting thoughts here?
No, it's been 40 minutes, and I feel like we could go for an hour more. But in order to keep our cadence and to come at you guys once a week, and hey, maybe we'll even do a special episode on breaking news every once in a while, things like that. We'll have to really gauge it because everything's a fire every week. But no, it's been a great episode. Friday, April 7th, we'll see you guys next Friday. And I think we had some great topics today, JPN. So thanks for joining.
It sounds like we're going to have plenty to talk about going forward too.
Yeah. And we're going to corral some guests. We're going to corral a guest. We'll try to get a guest on, once per episode. So maybe we can talk Ale or even our fellow delegation member Taylor into coming on next week, and we'll talk about some news cycles that are going around and things like that. So. Looking forward to it. This is a great format and a great venue to be able to have these kind of discussions.
Well, and we hope everyone will tune in here next week. We'll figure out what the topics are next week, probably right before the episode, because something could happen if we try to plan any farther than
try to catch it in real time. Yep, that's right.
You'll get your real-time update
off,
next
everybody. Week. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk next week. Take care.